So hello and welcome to the Lewis Nichols Show. I'm excited to bring on my guest. He took part in the Waterloo Road reunion, but he's here to talk about his career and everything else. So let's say hello to the brilliant George Sampson. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It's good to get you back on. And obviously you took part in that mad 20 person call, which was brilliant. But obviously today is just about you and everything that you've done in your career so far.
Yeah, man, we're hanging out.
Hanging out for sure. I just want to kind of go back really for you for the very beginning, which is where your love for dance and the passion for dance and performing, how that actually came from. Can you remember?
Yeah. So I've got 3 sisters and a brother. I'm one of 5 kids, and my mum and dad basically worked through the summer holidays with their jobs. My dad always worked like in care, and my mum did cleaning jobs and did like nursery assistant stuff. So their jobs meant that they had to work through like summer holidays and stuff. So when we were kids and we were growing up, we needed like somewhere to go in the holidays. And because I was outnumbered by girls, it was stage school. And my brother, actually, he wasn't involved in any of it because he was about 6 years older than me. So he was at an age where by the time we needed to go away for holidays, we were all like 7, 8, 9. There's 4 of us. We're aged like 6 to 9. My brother was like 13. Like he could look after himself, so he didn't need to go. So he had no decision or sway on where we would go during the holidays. But the girls had all the power because 2 of them were older than me, and there was 3 of them. So I just sort of like got shafted along with them to stage school, and yeah, fell in love with it, man. I had to be there, you know. So I just learned to enjoy it, and I got pretty good at it. So that's how it started.
Well, I mean, it changed your life in the sense of obviously Britain's Got Talent just changed everything for you. And it's amazing because actually you applied for the first series and didn't make it through to the live show. So what was it that made, because at that age, if I had rejection like that, I would, I don't know how you just seem to get back up, come back the year after, and then win the entire competition. So where did that kind of determination come from?
I don't know if it's determination or just pure cheek. I think I was just a scally rascal 13-year-old kid, 14-year-old kid that didn't like being told no. So there was probably some of that in it. Some of it, was just pure cheek, and a lot of it, I remember the exact feeling that when it was Piers Morgan that said, "Oh, you're not quite good enough." I remember thinking, but between the 3 judges, who are you to tell me I'm not good enough at dancing?
Yeah.
Because, no offense to Piers, Amanda, and Simon, who were the judges at the time, but I was like, none of you are dancers. Like, and a dancer has never won this kind of show before. Like, so how do you know I'm not good enough? You're not, you know what I mean? It's not something that you can say you've done in the past, and none of you's are dancers. So I think I always had that attitude of, no, you're wrong. You don't know about dance, and I'm gonna keep coming back and keep annoying you until you do know about dance. And thank God it only took 2 years because I'd have kept going back.
The second time round, did it feel different for you in the sense, like, did you kind of have a feeling, do you know what, I'm going to do this? Like, did you know it was going to go the way that it did?
Not at any point, not at a single point did I think I was going to win. I couldn't believe do you know what my initial goal was? To just get to the live shows, get to the semi-finals, because it's at that point where the public decide whether you're good enough. And I could have taken the fact that the public would say, "Oh, you're not good enough to win this kind of show. Well done for getting that far." That would have been fine for me. I just wasn't happy that I was judged on my dance ability by 3 people that aren't street dancers, that aren't break dancers. That was my thing at the time. So I would have happily walked away, at the semi-final and said, well, I gave it everything, but that was it. And I'll try harder and I'll have to get better. But I went on and won it, so can't really complain.
Well, it was great when you went back last year and you did that piece with diversity. I thought that was incredible to have the two greatest dance acts of the entire history of the show come together. And what you
Yeah.
put together was just amazing. I mean, what was it like to work with Ashley? Because I guess you guys know each other well from over the years.
Ash, Ash is a brains. He's a brains. There are different types of dancers. There are people like me that you can throw in a spotlight at any given time and play any sort of music, and I'll just wing it. I'll
Yeah,
blag it. I'll blag it, but it will be good. But I'll blag it, and that's how I've always been. And then there are people like Ash who he will see an open circle, he'll see a spotlight, and if you threw him in, his brain would go at a million miles an hour, and he would start planning things that would look good. And then he'd put them together. He's one of these people who has the ability to put them together, not only see things, but he can put them together. You know, he's like the box to box midfielder of dance. He
yeah.
calls the shots. You know what I mean? I'm the striker that just likes to put the ball in the net. But that's what Ash is. He's like a
Yeah.
creative midfielder in that sense. So it's always nice when you come together and two different styles work together, because every time I've worked with Ash, I've always Ash has always had control. Ash has always done the choreography, the set, and had that kind of, not that I can do it myself, but that's what Ash does best. But what he does and what he knows I do best is when he gives me an opportunity to shine, he just lets the lead off and I just go type thing. You know what I mean? Like he's like,
Yeah.
George would, that's an opportunity for you to go forward and kill it. I'm not even going to tell you what to do. Just do it. So it's nice that I can still do what I do and he has the control to do what he does. And it's a team effort. And when it's like that, you create something magic. And that's why I feel like every time I've worked with him, the sets have always been really good. They've been well received and stuff, because that blend of characters work together. So I've always enjoyed working with them. And they're nice lads. They are good guys. They're all right. None of them, I've never had any bad ties with them. Every time I see them, they're sound. So it's cool, man.
And the great thing about you is when I interview people, some of them can sing, some of them are an actor, but with you, like you can dance, you can sing, you can perform, you do everything. Like, is there anything that you literally can't do?
I blag it, dude. I told you. I just blag it. I just blag it. I just blag it.
You've done well if you're blagging everything that you've achieved in your career. Because I mean, like an incredible actor. I mean, the stuff you were doing in Emmerdale.
People have started to believe it. So no, do you know what? I think this is the thing about blagging it. I do blag it. I will be honest, I do. But the good thing about blagging it is it puts you in the deep end. You have to back up what you blag. You can't blag without backing it up. And so it almost throws you in the deep end. So it's about how you deal with being in the deep end. And like every time I've done that, I found my feet or learned to swim. And it's been a graft, but I've put myself in that situation, but it's always benefited. I when I got the street dance film, I had no right to star in a feature film as an actor. I had no right at all. I'd done a few episodes of Waterloo Road. So I had no right to be starring in feature films. I had no right to be in Waterloo Road. I was just a kid that danced on the telly in the rain. I had no right. But I blagged it. And after blagging it, I held it down because I threw myself in the deep end. But, luckily, and I think like with Waterloo Road and with all these jobs that I've blagged, I've always been met by nice people.
Yeah.
And I always feel like I'm a talkative person. I can talk to anyone. And I feel like when it's like that and you connect with people, it doesn't feel like you've blagged something you don't deserve. It feels like actually this is a good place to be. And maybe I'm not blagging it. I don't know. But it's been weird.
I know you say you blag it and stuff, and normally when I say if I watch EastEnders and they have a guest actor, somebody that's famous for something else, and they come on, they're not an actor, and they go on it, you can kind of notice it's not their strongest point. But with you, genuinely on Waterloo Road, especially, I felt you were just one of the best actors on the show in the sense of being able to connect with an audience with what you were doing, the performance. So I think you backed up very well.
Okay, yeah, I think a lot of that probably comes down to, though, Kyle is so relatable. Like he's one of the characters that when you watch a show like Waterloo Road, you go, I know somebody like Kyle. He's just a class dickhead that's a bit of a scruff. Yeah, we all had one in our class. We all had one.
Yeah.
I was one. You know what I mean? Like for a time, everybody knows a Kyle Stack, or has been the Kyle Stack when they were at school. And I think he had that a lot better than most of the other characters. I think for the other characters in especially the kids, I think about Jack that played Finn, and I'm like school. I'm like, do I know anyone that was a Finn at school? Maybe he's a bit like, but Kyle, I'm like, oh God, he was a Kyle. God, he was definitely a Kyle. He was so relatable. And so when I went to the audition, I remember just thinking, I'm just gonna playlist like this guy from school that I remember is this kind of way and stuff. So yeah, I still kind of blagged it, but I used experience rather than my acting ability. A lot of my acting ability came from reliving or, you know, living vicariously through people I'd gone to school with. And Kyle, that was especially for Waterloo Road, especially for that part.
And obviously we found out in the reunion that you auditioned for this part. So can you remember when you were told that actually you had got this role and you were about to star in one of the most popular series on the BBC? Because that must have been one of those moments where you kind of pinch yourself because it's a completely new challenge for you.
It was huge. The Waterloo Road, the Waterloo Road announcement was huge for me, especially. You know, I'd forever been a dancer, and I sort of reached a point with dance that I knew I loved it. I knew I loved doing it, and it's the greatest thing in the world, dancing for people. I love it, but I know it won't last forever. You know, I can't dance forever. I can't spit on my head. Even now, I'm Barry. I'm touching 30 now. Like, and not only that, I guess that's not why I got into acting. The two collided when I did the street dance film. That's how I got into it. I got that job as George Sampson, the dancer, and I just loved the acting. And of course, like I said, I've been to stage school. I've done acting lessons forever, but I had no right to star in films. But I found my love for acting, and then, you know, but I was still casted in street dance because of being George Sampson, the dancer. That's still why I got street dance. I know that. But I did a screen test and I did the film, and I just remember this feeling of, God, what a life. Like, I'd love to be an actor. Like, I enjoyed that so much. I'd love another challenge of a character that isn't me, because in street dance I just played myself. There was no acting at all. They just went, we've wrote a part for you, do you want it? Yeah, okay, all right. That was it. You know, there was no audition, there was no learning lines or learning about the character. It was just, we've wrote a part for you. So I took it. So the Waterloo Road call was the first time that I actually felt an actor. That was the first time I'd felt like an actor. Because prior to that, even though I'd starred in the film, it was a dance film. I wasn't hired on my acting ability. Waterloo Road was my first job where I was hired on my acting ability. So that was nice. It was like, shit, you know, maybe there is an opportunity to do this forever and it become a thing and I can be an actor. So yeah, that's why I hold Waterloo Road so close. And I think for a lot of kids my age at the time, it was like that for a lot of them. It was their first acting job. It was like a first one. And it was like a big show that everyone loved. And like, it went on to grow and grow and grow while we were in it. So like, we were a part of the process. We were a part of making the show what it is or what it was. And that's nice. And that's why when people ask me, even now, of all the stuff I've done, Waterloo Road was my favorite job because it was the first and I was a part of its legacy, as we all were. And it still holds a strong legacy now. It's still the one thing I get asked about more than anything, you know, to the point where I remember for the first 4 years, 5 years after winning Britain's Got Talent, all I would get is, you're the kid that danced in the rain. Well, now it's your Kyle Stack. It's completely edged it by miles.
But you know, you look at that, the fact that Waterloo Road was a massive part, but then you join one of the biggest soap operas that there is, being Emmerdale, home of the Dingles, home of the Wolf, like the Woolpack. When you again got that gig, was that one of those moments where you and your family are like, oh my God, you're actually in Emmerdale? Because it's been around my lifetime, your lifetime. It's incredible.
It's so cool. It's so cool. It's so cool. You know what? I've always said I'd love to do soaps. And I've had auditions for many soaps along the way, and I've always sort of either just said no, I don't want to do it, because I don't just want to be a part of a soap. You know, I want that feeling that I got when I did Waterloo Road. I want that legacy feeling. Like, I want to be in a soap. I want people to go, "You're the guy in the soap." I don't want to be, "Oh, didn't you do 2 episodes of Emmerdale?" You know what I mean? And like, so I sort of turned down roles forever, or turned down auditions for roles, not roles. And like, you know, Hollyoaks, I'd been a few times. I'd been seen for Hollyoaks a couple of times, and a couple of other things that I'd auditioned for, and they were always just like walk-ons, people that would be in for 1 episode or 2 episodes. So I'd always been like, no, because then I can't really do another soap after that. You know, if I do, you know, if I go and do Corrie for 2 weeks, I then can't go and do Emmerdale for another 3 years. It's like, it's not worth it. It's not, you know, I wanted to sink my teeth into it off the back of the acting work I've done. I was like, I'd love a soap, but if they said, yeah, you know, you're going to come in, you're going to be in it for a year, you're going to have the storyline, I'd bite their arm off. And then Emmerdale came in, and I seen the audition for it, and it's a funny story actually, because I was at the audition and I got this. I had no agent at the time. I was doing panto, and I got this text on my phone saying, Emmerdale want to see you for a part. And I thought somebody was like just hoaxing me. So I text back like, bollocks, who's this? I thought somebody was like having me off. But it was a text from Spotlight, which is like the agency that all the agents use to get the jobs and stuff. It was a text from Spotlight that Emmerdale had found me on Spotlight and wanted me to audition. And like, because I didn't have an agent enrolled on Spotlight, it sent me a text to say that there'd been an alert on Spotlight and that Emmerdale, the ITV wanted to see me for Emmerdale. I just thought it was one of my mates taking the piss. I text back saying, bollocks. Yeah, and then I was like, all right, okay, well, I can check if it's Spotlight. I'll go on. I logged onto my Spotlight, and there it was in my inbox from ITV saying, we've got you an audition if you want to come for Emmerdale. I was like, I'm not going to get this gig. I've already told them to fuck off once. Oh, I was gutted. But then, yeah, so I turned up, and it was up near Leeds, and I went for the audition. I walked in, and Will Rush, that played Josh, was in the audition as well. We were both at the audition for this character. And Will is a very complex person. I've never met anyone like Will Rush in my life. I think he's a real one-of-a-kind guy. And I remember just having this conversation with Will, and he'll hate me for saying this, but he shouldn't have said it. He was going on about how he's already got the job and that I shouldn't have turned up. This is for this Emmerdale part. And I remember feeling like shit, thinking, Will's already got the job. Why am I here? And because I thought they wanted me, they text me.
Yeah.
But I got there, it was like 5 other kids. And Will was going, I've already got the job. It's a formality. You know, they know me mum's in Corrie and my sister's in EastEnders. It's like a soap trilogy. Like, it's my job. So I was like, whatever, this is crap. And I went in and I said the lines and stuff. And she said to me in the room, she went, we're offering you it. Do you want it? And then I walked out like, oh my God, yeah, I'm taking this job. I'm going on Emmerdale. And I walked out and I looked at Will and just smiled and just left. He'll hate me for saying that, but I don't care. It's true.
Was he being genuine though? Is it one of those where it's banter? Like, I probably.
Oh yeah, banter. Well, you never know with Will Rush. You never know. That is his banter. That that he has that banter. But in the back of the mind, he's one of them that you're thinking, he definitely meant that though, didn't he? So I don't know. I don't really care, to be fair. I haven't seen him since. He's probably not bitter about it. But I got the job. So and it was only supposed to be 2 episodes. It was supposed to be 2 weeks filming, and I appeared like once in 2 episodes, once in this episode and once in another. And after we filmed them, they were like, "No, this is great. Like, we like this character." So I ended up staying for like 7 to 10 weeks filming, and small clips through about like a 7 episode period. Like, it went on for quite a while, and I thought I'd reached the heavens, and I'd got to the point where I was going to be staying on, like, And then they gave me the script that was like, oh, Ryan's in the back. He's in the back of the car. He gets let out and he runs off, and that's the end of me. And I was like, no, I thought I was in. But do you know what? I did 3 months, whatever there, and it was amazing.
Well, with the years that it's been since you've been on there now, Corrie could quite easily. You've had the 5 years, so Corrie
Hey,
could be next.
I didn't die on Emmerdale. I could, you know, there's always a good reason to bring a villain back. There's always a good reason, and I didn't die. I just left. So you never know. You never know. I mean, you know, I don't strive on wanting a particular job, because that's not the fun in the job. The fun in the job is the challenge, is to play in parts that aren't easy and stuff. You know, when people always say, "Oh, you'd be great in Corrie," or you'd be great in this, I can see you as that. You know, that's like, to me, that's not really what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's like, well, then that's just me being me. I'm not really challenged. But then there are certain jobs that have you seen the show Brassic?
No.
There's a show called Brassic. It's on Sky. It's the funniest show I've ever watched, and it's the only show that I've watched and I've said, I'd love to be in that exact show. There's nothing more than I'd love to be in that show. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable, and I would drop a job for it. I would turn down other jobs for it if I was in contract, because it's so good. But I've never felt like that before. Like I never really look at jobs like that. And I always think like I'd love to challenge myself and stuff. Of course, I wouldn't turn down Corrie. I'd love to do Corrie, but you know, I like the idea of doing something a bit different.
Well, I mean, obviously you experienced so much at a young age, especially like you were getting invited to every kind of TV show and event going. So is it kind of, because there was so much going on at a young age, is it only now, you know, like you said, you're approaching 30, I think we're the same age, like 27. Do you look back at things now and be like, oh my God, I actually can't believe I did that? Because like the Royal Variety Show, like who gets to do things like that? It's incredible.
It is. You're right. It's only now, looking back, that I see it. And even though I did it, and at the time I was grateful for doing it, when you're in the rush and you're in the moment, you know, when you're doing the Royal Variety, you can't think about you doing the Royal Variety. All you can think about is the routine and the prep and making sure the show's okay. Like you're in the moment, and so you never look at it from the outside in, and you only get this feeling of, holy shit, I did that, when you're on the outside looking in. So no, I've only experienced that recently, but it's incredible, man. I've done some crazy things, and like I did it the other day. I was chatting to my missus, and we were chatting about The Masked Singer, and we called out that Badger was Neo, and I just randomly was like, yeah, I had a drink with Neo once in the back of a tent at a festival at T4 on the beach, and I had a pint with Neo, and I was like, and she literally, my missus was like, it's fucking cool that, and I was like, you know what, that is fucking cool, isn't it? I was like, I've done some cool shit, man.
You know, but it's genuinely, because when I do prep or before I do an interview, I mean, I can talk to someone that's been in the industry for, I don't know, 40 years. And you have done more than, like, the amount of stuff I was looking at you've done. I was like, if you did a Piers Morgan's life story, it would need to be over 3 episodes.
It's been busy. It's been busy. It's weird when I say it now, because I say I'm approaching 30, but we're still only 27. We're still young, you know. We're still young, and I've still got a lot of stuff I want to do. But I'm so lucky, man. I'm so lucky. Like I've been dancing for 20 years, and I've done everything that I could achieve in dance in that time. Unfortunately, there's no higher level in dance. I wish there was. I wish dancers were like singers and they could have a chart dedicated to dancers, and dance could be this as big as music, but it's not. It never will be. But so there's a limit of stuff you can do as a dancer, you know, and I've done it all. I've had a successful dance school in my hometown. You know, I've won a talent show as a dancer. I've had music videos, West End. You know, I've done it, and I guess that's part of the challenge now, and why I still do it and still love the challenge, because it's like, all right, then what else do I want to do? What's the next challenge? What's next and stuff? And I've always been like that, and so that's how I think I've managed to do a lot of stuff, is because I've ticked it off, and then it's like, what's the next thing?
I just love how casual you are about all, like, because if I was on a Raw variety show, that a picture would be on my green screen right now of me there. Like, I'd be every guest that ever come into my house, but that's me at the Raw variety. You're just so chill with everything you've done.
It's because it was a stress, when the Raw variety was a damn stress. Like, organizing a show that big, even though it's my spot, it's my segment, I have no say over nothing. There are cameramen telling me where I can and have to be. There are executive producers, 12 of them. And then there's the series producer. Then there's the floor manager, and then there's the choreographer they've hired for some strange reason. And then there's the creative director who's not a dancer, but creates the show. And like, you've got all these people. It's a stress and you just want to show yourself off. So, and you're being told where to go, left, right. So at the time, like I say, you're just never really looking out. So when you come out of it, instead of feeling like I just did the Raw variety show, you're thinking, I just did the Raw variety show. I worked my bollocks off and did that. So I think that stress of doing it plays a large part in why I wouldn't gas it up as much as it is, but it is worth gassing. And now I can finally, now that the stress has all calmed down and I'm reaching the big old man age of 30, I can look back and think, actually, yeah, that was amazing. It was amazing.
Who was there, like, in regards to the Raw family when
I met Rihanna that night.
That's the queen herself.
I met Rihanna. Like, what do you mean? She was on right after me. She was actually a pain in the ass, Rihanna. She was. I was on before her, and she was waiting in the wing. And at the back of the Palladium, when you come out the wing of the stage, there's stairs going upstairs, and she was on these stairs at the top of the staircase, waiting to walk down to come into the wing to come on after me. It's very rotational, the one act goes off, one act goes on with a Raw variety. It's very, very organized. So she was waiting on the staircase, waiting for me to go on. I had about 25 dancers. And when I was walking on stage and the dancers had cleared the steps, she wanted to come down. So while my dancers were walking on stage to get into position, she hollered two of them, grabbed them and went, no, you can hold my dress and walk me down these stairs. So I go on stage and I've got two dancers missing. And they're walking Rihanna down the stairs. I was fuming. I mean, you can't say no to Rihanna. I don't blame them. But when I go for this trick and I look to my left and I'm looking for someone to look back at me in the routine and he's not there, I was fuming.
I just love that though, like the fact that you were like, oh yeah, I met Rihanna, and you had this massive smile, and then you just click and go, yeah, she was a pain in the ass.
She was a pain in the ass. I like, she wanted to come down. Whatever. Like it's all it is now is a memory.
Yeah.
And a story. I don't get pissed off over it. It's just something that happened that, because she's very popular and she gets mentioned a lot. I'm like, I have a cool story about Rihanna. It's not cool. She pissed me off, but it is cool because it happened, 15 years ago, whatever.
But what royal was there? Was it the Queen or Prince Charles?
It was Prince Charles
Nice.
And Camilla. So the B-Tech version.
Do you know what? I do want to talk to you about, because before we came on, I messaged you, to say, is there anything we can't talk about? And you were so gracious and said that you're an open book, ask away. And I've always wanted to know, for somebody that's experienced fame at such a young age, like you did, especially overnight fame, was that difficult at times to deal with? Because one minute you're kind of just a regular boy going about your life, and then you're in every kind of magazine, TV show, everybody knows you. Was that difficult at times?
Not for me. I was a kid, fearless, didn't really care. I was suddenly propelled into fame. Suddenly girls fancied me. Suddenly all the lads wanted to be my friend. So to me, no, it was a breeze. It was great. But however, it had an impact on other people, I would say. I think, I had to move to London, away from my sisters and brother. That probably had an impact. It meant that I was away from school. That impacted people. It meant that I needed chaperones left, right, and center. It cost a lot more money because I think it had a strain on other people. Yeah. Everybody but me. But I was the cause of the problem because of my age. My age was the cause of the problem, and it had a lot of strain on other people but I couldn't see it because they were all sheltering me. They didn't want it to be my problem because they were so happy for me. So no, it wasn't hard. I think it's harder when you get older and you look back and you go, that was such a strain on people. Like, that actually was hard. You know, people had to commit their lives to me. I became a brand that people had to protect and look after. And because I was young, they really had to protect me.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you ask me if there's anything I'd change, no, because I love the fact that I was young and dumb and didn't know what was going on, and that other people made decisions for me. It may have led to things that could have gone more swimmingly in life, but I'm glad I was naive and I played no part in anything. I just turned up and danced and put a smile on the people's faces watching. That was my job, and I did that. So yes and no to your question. It does affect you, because it affects me now when I look back. And I always ask, you know, I wonder what it'd be like to go back as an adult and win the show in control of my own life. Would I make the right decisions, the wrong decisions? Would I blow money? Would I become successful and save? You know, it's easy to say what you would do, but you don't know unless it happens. But when it happened to me, I was a kid, so I had no control over anything. And I'm glad I didn't, because I was just young and naive. And for me, it was for the love of dance. It was for the love of performing. I loved performing. So I'm glad that it went the way it did. But I think it does have a lot of stress and a strain being a young and being propelled to fame. Yeah, I think it does. I think it does affect people, just not the person doing it, the people around them.
I mean, it's well documented that talking about having a strain, it had a strain on some of your relationships with your family as well, which that must be difficult, because if, say, for instance, if I have a fallout with a parent or a family member, it's done behind closed doors, you sort it out, but yours is in the paper, you know, and that for me, I would struggle with. When that happened, especially in relationship to your mother, someone you're obviously close to for so many years, and the downside of fame has brought this kind of tension, and this now it's in all the papers. That must have been one of the most challenging times.
That was the hardest. But you know, deep in my heart, I know, and my mom and anyone that I've had fallings out with know that it is because of fame. It's not because we're bad people. It's not because I was raised wrong. It's not because of anything that went on outside of fame. It's because of fame. It is. And I think for me, again, a lot of that came from me being young. I was protected because I needed protecting. I was young and vulnerable. And some of the people I don't speak to now and that I've fallen out with, they were protecting me. And it was only when I got old enough to protect myself that they struggled to let go. You know, they still wanted to protect me because I was still the brand. I'm still the brand. I'm still George Sampson.
Yeah.
But they were called upon at a time when I was vulnerable to protect me. And then when I could protect myself, they didn't want to stop. But that started affecting my personal life. And then when it affected my personal life, that's when, you know, it became a problem, because I was now an adult and wanted to live my life and do things that I wanted to do. And I didn't need protecting anymore. And I wanted to call my own shots. But it's hard to tell that to people that have been there since day one, whose shots have got you where you are today. So it's finding a balance. And we couldn't find a balance.
So are things still like that now? Have you managed to kind of sort of think, wow, okay.
No, it's sort of just been, you know, we've moved on. It happened. I've moved on. They've moved on, and there hasn't been any working towards making it better, but there's certainly not been any making it worse either. It's just sort of moved from there, and we just now focus on the future. You know, I focus now primarily on trying to work, especially during these, you know, weird times. It's getting work now is even a struggle. And then my personal life, you know, I've got a girlfriend, Kaz, who is just everything to me, like everything. And so I focus on her. I focus on the job at hand and what I've got to do and where I've got to be.
But hearing you talk today, you just come across as such a gracious guy. And you've got such a good outlook. You look back on things that have happened and you can kind of ascertain why it happened, and you understand almost. And hearing you talk about the strains relationships with your family, it's kind of like you acknowledge, yeah, they were looking after me. You were glad they did. But it's still led to this. Do you hope that one day that actually, do you know what, we've had a lockdown, family is the most important thing? Are you hopeful that we can put this behind us? Because you come across as somebody that's really mature and understanding.
Yeah, I do hope that, and I think it should, and I think one day it will. Whether that is soon or not, I don't know. But I hope so, and I think, you know, a lot of it comes to, you get to a point where you just can't be asked hating anymore. I have no hate for anybody. I can't be asked because it affects me. And there comes a time where, when you've been controlled for so long and everything, you get to a point where you just go, I'm making decisions for me now. And I look at a situation, if something happens, I think, you know, this could piss me off. This could get me down. But then it's controlling me. And I'm not going to be controlled again. So no, I'm not going to let this piss me off. And sometimes it's great, but sometimes, you know, sometimes it's not good. Sometimes, like, there are times where my missus will talk to me and say, you should be upset about this. Like, somebody's pissed you off. You're allowed to be upset. And I don't. I generally just don't. So it's good. It has its, you know, it has its ups and downs.
Do you find that because, for instance, I can agree with that with my partner. I'm really, if I feel something, I will show it, and I'm reacting to stuff. I'm full of emotion, but my partner's not. And I struggle to understand that because I'm so much the other way. You being together with her now, has that helped you kind of show your emotions a little bit more, or be annoyed, or show your feelings?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because I don't want it to come across like it's baggage for Kaz. I don't want her to feel like she needs to deal with me emotionally over something that she hasn't created. But also at the same time, I know that I don't have to feel like it's putting any strain on Kaz because she wants to. Because she's my person, you know, she's my other person. She wants to, like, share those things. So again, that's another balance. So I feel like I can be emotional, and I will be with Kaz, and I'll tell her everything, and because I trust her advice as well. I trust her to say, well, I know you enough to know that you should be saying this or feeling like this, and 9 times out of 10, she's right. So
she's going to get that clip after this interview, and that will be her ringtone when you say that. She's going to love that.
She knows it's true, though. She knows it's true. She'll act all cool and.
Do you know? And you were saying that you put all your attention into kind of your relationship and work, and your music. I've got to say, because normally when people say, "Oh yeah, so and so's making music now," especially those from a different background who haven't worked in music all their life, I never know what to expect. Sometimes I listen to a track, I'm like, "Oh God,
it's garbage."
Your music is incredible, and the great thing about your music is the lyrics. That you can relate to them. They're deep. They're beautiful. And I love that.
I love music. I love music, and one of my best friends, Richard, he produces all my stuff. We went to school together, primary school together, high school. We grew up together. We went to, when I went to my first stage school, he was there, and so we went through all these stage schools and life together. So he's a very close friend of mine, and he was just this kid that was light years ahead of everyone. Light years, just so much more clever, so much more technically advanced, knew everything. He was always so smart. And it ended up working in my favor, because when about 14, 15, he'd really got into music production, like really good at it, and like left school to go and get a degree in music production at like 15 and got his master, like just did everything he could do at the age of 17 in music production. And he was insanely gifted. And so I knew this. And we both loved music. And then, so it started out as just a hobby when we were kids. We were 13. And I remember after I won Britain's Got Talent, the first thing I went and paid for was, my mum's house I paid for first. But the first thing that I bought, like treated myself to, was a home studio. So I bought myself like an iMac, some speakers, like a MIDI keyboard and bits for a home studio. And I bought Rich around the house. I was like, mate, let's set it up and let's just start doing stuff, going mad. And that's how it started. We just started hanging out, making music. And And then it was only like a couple of years back that we made something, and this was like Project 309 or whatever, that I was like, you know what? This is actually good. Like, we've always just done it as a hobby. That was how we hung out. We would just, he would come to mine, or when he got old enough to build his studio, we would just go around his in his studio, him more so, and then we just make music. But then it started getting quite good. In other words, he got better at making me sound good. Because my talent never changed. I could just write songs. I was always good at writing, and he created the melodies. I would tell him what we should have in the song, and he would physically do it on the computer because he was the tech guy. And then we'd both listen to it and go, let's change this, and it would come together as a song. But yeah, he started getting quite good at making me sound good on these songs, and we did these 4 tracks, and I released an EP called Odyssey.
That's incredible, by the way. Really
yeah, it's a good little EP. You know, a lot of time went into the songs, and we did it properly. Like, Rich is the guy, and he spent a lot of time making it sound good. But the plan wasn't to release it. The plan was to just make it and just keep making it and keep enjoying it ourselves. But then when it got to a level that we were, you know, it was getting quite good, I just thought, why not? I'm not expecting to make money off this. I'm not expecting to do this as a career. I don't want to do it as a career. I don't want to be a musician. I don't want to be. I just want to dip a toe. You know, I just want to do it for fun, put it out there, and then if the people that follow me and stuff have a listen and they enjoy it, then that's fine. That's all I care about. But I just thought, if it can make even one person happy, then it's worth releasing. You know, if one person enjoys it or finds solace in the message. So, you know, because I always try and write how I feel type thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I released it. And then Mirror, we've had for, which was my latest single release. I've had that for longer than Odyssey. That's been in the back burner for years. I wrote that years ago. But me and Rich recently listened to it again and was like, God, that's actually a good song. And it didn't fit the Odyssey vibe. It was a different kind of song. So we didn't release it with Odyssey. But the plan was to always come back to it and release it. And we did that. You know, lockdown gave us that opportunity to come back to it over Discord and sharing screens and creating artwork together and just doing it, you know, with him in his setup and me here. And we put it together and made it happen and released it. And you know what? I'm glad I did, because I like it. I think it's quite good.
Well, do you know, it is different to Odyssey. It's more of a mainstream style track, and I loved it because when I listened to it, I got you were trying to work. I'm trying to work out the message, and it was like someone that's lost, like kind of didn't recognize. You know, I don't recognize myself anymore.
Yeah.
It was relatable because I think we've all had times where we look at ourselves and be like, do you know what? I need to get back on this now, and like. You kind of got lost in the moment with emotion, and it was just such a meaningful song, and I'm looking forward to what's coming next, because like I said, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, is this going to be one of those guys trying to do music and it's terrible? But actually really incredible. The writing, same with Odyssey, the writing is the strength. It really is.
Odyssey's a good song. Mirror, that's exactly what Mirror is. It's about baby steps, and I wrote Mirror at a time where things weren't great for me. And I wrote Mirror from 2 perceptions. I wrote it from the me that was down and the me that was going through this. And I wrote it from a future me, or a reflection of me that had come out of it. And the idea of the song was I was talking to myself, and myself that had come out of it and was experiencing a better life was talking back. Because I think that's what you have to, when you're down, you have to set yourself goals, baby steps. You have to say, what do I want? You know, I feel like shit. Why do I feel like shit? And what do I want? And how do I get out of it? And I think for me, the answer was, you just have to find that version of you that wasn't depressed or wasn't down for whatever reason. And you need to get back to that. So the idea was, I was talking to myself in the mirror, and I don't recognize myself in the mirror, but not necessarily because I'm looking and I'm thinking, okay, this guy's half the person I used to be. I'm looking and going, I'm half the person I used to be. My reflection is actually a version of me that's so much better, that's happier, and that's what I need to aim for. So, but then also part of the song was that reflection, talking back and actually being grateful for the times that they were down, because you have to be down to know that you're up.
Yeah.
It's a balance, and it was all, I kind of wrote all that through reflections, and mirror just seemed like the obvious title, and it all just sort of worked. It all just sort of happened. But that's how it came across. That's where it came from.
It's a really incredible track. And I mean, this next question for you, it's kind of hard for everyone because we're in a lockdown. But are there any other projects that you're working on? Because I know before this, you would have had a lot of stuff in regards to West End shows and things like that. So what's next when lockdown finishes, stuff that you're working on?
I hopefully will go back on tour. So I was playing Dean in the UK tour of Everybody's Talking About Jamie. We got 3 weeks in, and then obviously Corona happened, and we were on stage actually about to warm up for the show in Birmingham, and it was the Monday, and it was our first show. We were all excited to be in Birmingham, and the producers came on while we were warming up. You know, probably just turn the music off, and we all just sort of looked at each other like, this is not good. If a producer comes and turns the music off, it's because he wants us. It's because he wants us to stop. And we'd all obviously knew what was going on around the world. It was everywhere. It was all over the news as it is now, and we kind of knew what was going on. And we were told that the tour would be postponed, not cancelled, postponed, because there was so much uncertainty with how long things would be closed for and when they would reopen. And it's still up in arms, isn't it? We're being told things, but you just don't know. And so it's hard to promote and put on a UK tour, to 2,000 people a night all over the country in areas that are in different tiers half the time. So you can't put on shows. Like, imagine trying to, organize a 6-month tour. You can't right now. So the tour has been postponed since March last year, since the start of lockdown 1, and we are still in postponement. We're getting told all the time that, these theatres still want the show, and it's likely that we're probably going to go back and it will still sell well, and it's a show that will be well received and stuff. So we'll see, but I think the most likelihood is after lockdown, theatres will open and I'll go back to the Jamie tour.
I just love the way you say the word postponed, because you have like a Texan accent for just that one word.
Postponed.
When you were saying it, it's like this random Texas accent for that one word, and then back to George, which is incredible. Do you know, I'm so grateful for you to come on today and be so open and honest and just sharing, because I mean, you're the same age as me, yet have the most incredible career and done the most amazing projects. So thank you for being so open and honest. It's been amazing having you on.
It's been amazing being here, mate. I've said to because I spoke briefly about the show to my missus beforehand, and I said it's going to be so nice to just be able to chat and do something, because this is it's I'm doing your show, but it just feels like we're chatting, And I said, like, it's just be so nice to just chat. Because we've not had much of that. There's not been enough people talking and learning stuff about people. That's what we miss. That's what we've missed with lockdown. We've missed everybody doing this. So it's been nice. It's been good.
No.